to July. When he would have got the 2% anyway. That wasn't anything that we agreed to, it's just something that we typically do.
Is that the same way as Frank, too? Didn't you do something with his contract to saying that after a 6-month period that you would give an additional 2%?
No, not additional. The 2% would be is what we had
I have the same
in the
thing as
budget.
what this
This is what everybody else would.
2%.
He's gonna wait 6 months to get his July 2%.
Got it, okay. I didn't see any police officers on here.
Well, police officer contractual,
Okay.
that's,
Except for the yeah.
the chiefs is already, that you guys approved last time. And this is everybody else on here.
And the new lieutenant, which we're gonna discuss. So that's, I asked Leslie why the two other police
Right.
people weren't on there. It just seemed, but.
We're doing those separately
Yeah,
because
and
of
it
the way
made
that
sense
switched
once.
around.
Yeah, and it's fine. Your, just so that you know, Mr. Gifford, your letter and explanation on this is the reason I'm gonna go ahead and vote for this. I originally was gonna argue a little bit about the extra 2% or at least 1% of it. I feel like we had started Chief at a higher rate already because of his intelligence and schooling and training, and so he started a rate pretty high when we originally hired him, higher than we thought maybe we was gonna have to pay somebody. So I kind of thought I might argue a little bit about this, but I've decided not to, and your explanation on here about what he can do with that experience and education he has, and the money he's saved us on having to hire extra engineering firms and stuff, totally justifies it for me, and so I really don't have any problem with it.
And I was gonna have the same problem with it, because we did give him vacation extra this year. But that, I assume that you already said you had that in there, so I wasn't gonna argue about it after that. So, what you wrote, I just felt that I'll probably go along with it the same, which is probably surprising to you at that time. But it's just the idea that what you said and what you stated, and I think you already promised him in somewhat way. So I think that if, in a future work sessions and that, if you promise things, make sure that you tell us and that you're going to do it. And so we don't get surprised once in a while.
Somebody like to make a motion on this salary resolution?
I'll make, oh, go ahead.
No, I just had another question, because Dan, I had emailed you earlier about that we were going to do two separate, but one for the, because it looks like these are all together.
Well, there's a
including-
separate resolution for the fire people. There should, in your packets, they're supposed to be.
Doesn't really read that way.
I know, but it kind of all runs together, and it looks like,
Oh, two different resolution numbers.
okay,
It just isn't on the, we can separate them out. We have two different votes.
okay,
Well, I think since it's two separate resolutions, we have to do
Yeah.
it separate.
okay.
They're just not listed on the agenda that way. It just.
Right, they're listed on this agenda under one item, but there's a separate resolution for the fire people.
I guess my only comment on all of this, I'm glad everybody's in agreement that he's justified the increase that Dan's recommending, but I guess I'll just toot his horn for a minute. We saw the PowerPoint by Mike Stewart last week talking about the changes just in the fire department since he's been on board. My gosh, it's incredible what he's done down there, and we give him this title of building inspector. I had asked Dan here a month or so ago about the previous person sitting in that office, and what a difference. Mike's running circles around the performance of our predecessor, who did an adequate job. We got very fortunate, I think, in having Mike apply to move to this community of ours with the experience and just the knowledge, the stuff he's forgotten. Most guys in his position would never. It's going to be really tough down the road replacing him, and I would hate to set this salary way up there to where the next guy in would automatically get that salary and not be nearly as competent. But having said that, I'm not sure that this 4% is even enough to justify the good work that he's doing. I hope next year when we talk about budget, I hate seeing Mike out there going out to look at weeds and I know that we're doing a lot of self inspections on all those fire inspections. I know from experience that the place that I work, we fill the things out, and we're not totally accurate with how we answer them. I would rather see him going out and getting in those buildings, doing the important work, and having somebody in that department with him. We've really got it going, both those departments, in the right direction, and there's only one reason for that: the person that's doing the work, and we have to pay him a little more to keep him around. He's got a lot of work left to do. Someday down the road, he's going to be retiring, and we're going to be looking to replace him. I realize that, but and Mike, I don't know what kind of salary requirements you're looking for. Is that 4% enough to keep you happy?
I've got more employees than anybody in this city under me. I got 31
Department
firefighters
head,
going to
you
41. Nobody else has that many. I've got high dollar rolling stock sitting up there in the station that we have to maintain and use and train on. The certifications are required by the feds now. And yet I'm being paid below the new lieutenant's pay. I don't think that's fair. And I'm a department head of 2, where everybody else is a department head of 1. So
With the 4% raise, you would still be underneath.
I'd only be at 54, right, Leslie?
Raise, you guys got a memo, it'd be 54,302.
Yeah, and the lieutenant's gonna be at 56, 57. So I'm the lowest department head, but having 2 department heads on, doing 2 jobs for 2 department heads. And I'm working 60 hours a week.
Have you brought that up to Mr. Gifford?
We've talked about it, yeah.
Okay.
Well, the thing was, and like we've talked, that when I was first hired, you didn't know what you were gonna get.
Nope.
So
Absolutely.
you didn't know where to set the salary.
Absolutely.
After 20 months, my track record should show that I should be up in between, somewhere between the lieutenant and the police chief, or even up closer to the police chief. Because I'm about the only employee that works 60 hours a week for this city, or higher.
When we started hiring, and we did decide to hire somebody with the 3 groups in there, which you knew what you were getting into when you were hired.
But I also figured that if I
When you
proved
knew that
myself.
you were getting into what you were hired as,
That's right.
okay? And we hired you directly as a building inspector, and that was the main principle behind it. As the volunteer fire department, is that you take care of the volunteer fire department. You don't have to go to fires. You do go once in a while. You don't get your gear on. You told me that the state tells you don't have to get your gear on. You're an observer, and if you do go, you just make it. And I've seen that.
But you also didn't.
As
see me-
far as nuisance, you drive around and you take care of the nuisance at that. I didn't know that you were really disappointed in your job, and you feel that you're just way underneath paid compared to being here for a short period of time. I know in Kansas City that you could probably raise property taxes sky high to do so, because that's what they probably do out there. We're a small branch in a town with a little bit of retail. We lost the township at that time, so we have a short area instead of a big area to do that. A lot of spending has been going on. I like to see a lot of cuts in that stuff in there, and I haven't seen it yet. So as far as what you've been doing, I think you've been doing a good job, and I think your pay's been very good at that time.
Well, Rick, I agree. He's been doing a good job, and I would say a great job. And I totally agree that his pay scale should be at least what the police lieutenant, at least $1 above what the police lieutenant would be, and that an 8% increase in wages would cost the city an additional $4,000. And I know
Well,
I
you
was-
can imagine, though, that those police officers and those chiefs have been here for a long period of time.
Their areas of responsibilities are also important, but that's another question. And it's all about opinions. My opinion is that the man, Mike Heim, deserves to be paid. I would make a motion that we move towards an 8% pay increase.
Is that a motion?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Support.
There's a motion with support.
And I'll just go a little bit further than with our conversation with Mike. He has done a fantastic job with the fire department. We have volunteers coming back and they're educated. They have the training that they didn't have before that was lacked on many, many, many years that we all weren't aware of it. And I think the morale at our fire department is greater now. And I know Mike is looking towards the future because, quite frankly, we cannot maintain a volunteer fire department through the daytime when all of our volunteers are stuck at their jobs, and getting people to go to a fire on a day shift is few and far between. And he's looking forward down the roll at that aspect of combining a volunteer paid fire department. And I'm sure at some point we're going to be doing that. Mike has done a tremendous job in the building inspection. Our previous inspector, he did get the inspections going, the rental inspections up and running. And Mike has taken off with that, and then he's just had a tremendous amount of work with Great River Medical Center, because it seems like every day he's got 10, 12 change orders. And to keep all of that in line without us having to hire an engineer to come in and help him is just unbelievable, and it saved us tons of thousands of dollars. I think 4% is just measly at this point. I think he's well deserving of 8%, and I've talked with Mr. Gifford about that. I have not talked to anybody else, but.
Nope.
Yeah, but I wholeheartedly agree with a fellow council person.
Well, like I said, I thought Mike did an excellent job for what he's done and everything else, and I think Randy does and everybody else, and I think that's a slap in the face for other people for recommending that.
Any other discussion?
What are you gonna vote on, Hans?
On a motion?
Just that one motion first?
Yeah, on the,
Pay increase 8%, Mike Heim.
was that part of the
2%
the
of
resolution to include the rest?
That's my
Non-salary.
point.
Is that how that's?
non-union personnel.
Yeah, and then everybody else at 2%.
Police reserves is still $1 a year. You didn't raise the pool. The pool stayed the same.
Pool state, whatever's on there.
Yeah. So it'd be.
The first resolution would include city administrator, police sergeant, fire chief, building inspector, public works director, assistant public works director, finance officer, treasurer, city clerk, planning secretary, IT system administrator, department head secretary, utility bill clerk, administrative assistant finance, administrative assistant police, and police reserves. And the change in that would be, in this resolution, it's a 2%
It's 2% for
for
all those
Mike,
that proposed.
for everybody.
Except for Mike, if you did 8% for Mike, it would be $2,168.89 biweekly. So I guess that's your proposal, if that's what you're headed to
Is that
change
what
that.
is
Yep.
that what you're,
And the police reserves stay the same at $1.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
and then the
always
pool stays the same. The only, I guess, are you proposing then to approve the resolution with the exception of Mike Heim and change that amount to 8% increase, so it'd be 2,168?
That'd be the easy way to say it.
That's.
I would do it that way.
You could also separate that out if you wanted to.
I would separate it.
Which is what I think Rod was getting at.
Well, I'm yes on some of it, no on some of it.
That's what I thought
Okay?
you were getting
And you
at.
have one council person that I'm not sure how they think they need to vote because it affects things.
So we would have a
If we're
third,
just doing on this part and keeping the other part separate,
Okay.
You could ask
Then-
that
So you think
three,
you can vote on the fire chief's pay?
you could have three
Well,
different
because it's not-
separates.
yeah, you can vote.
Asking the question. I'm just asking the
Your-
question.
your
I
only
know
con-
you were
your
trying
only
to stay out of
conflict
trouble.
arises on the
On the
next,
on the
next
second one.
resolution.
I don't care. I know what you were attempting to do and
right.
We know, yeah, your conflict is on the second resolution, not on this one. But we can have a third resolution. It doesn't matter.
I would say go with 3.
as I sit here right now, I'm not gonna vote for the 8%. I'm willing to vote for what Mr. Gifford suggested we do. And if Mr. Gifford wants to come back in the future because he's done an appraisal on Mike and recommend higher wages, that's fine. But I'm not sitting here tonight prepared to do that when the guy's boss only recommended a 4% increase. I'm not willing to jump it up to 8, sitting here tonight. And I've never said that Mike hasn't done a great and fantastic job. It still is just a fact that, I can't tell you the last time we gave out an 8% increase, and we have many long-term employees that are great employees also and do a great job, and I don't think I'm sitting here tonight prepared to argue how he ought to be paid as compared to the chief of police and lieutenant, because quite frankly, I've never participated in any of that discussion ever. I'm willing to, but not to sit here tonight and just vote for it.
And this is why we have those work sessions to talk about it, and that's what actually Rod's getting at.
I just,
I would make a motion to divide it up
I
into
got a
3.
motion,
got a
I got a
motion.
motion with support here to begin with.
yep.
Okay.
So I'll make another one. All right, Dan, it's your motion.
Well,
Your
it-
support, Trace. Do you want to just make that motion for the fire chief building inspector?
Yes.
Okay, that's how we'll do that. So it'll be a third resolution. Concur with that?
Yes.
So read what the first is,
Well,
please,
the
Mayor.
motion is to set the fire chief building inspector's salary to, what'd you say, 2,061?
2,168.
2,000. What?
2,168.89 biweekly.
$2,168.89 biweekly for fiscal year 12-13. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Crowner,
No.
Raleigh,
No.
Stewart. Aye. Lees,
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Now, the next resolution is to set the salary and benefits for non-union personnel, which you strike off the exclude the fire chief building inspector in there at the recommended rate of 2%.
Motion to approve?
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion?
And I said, no, the pool.
Yeah, whatever's on there. My screen doesn't go quite that far.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's not too across there.
We're losing your hair.
I I haven't scrolled down that far yet.
So we're approving that as presented to us
As
with no
pres-
changes.
Yeah. Right. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Aye.
Oh, Rod,
Crowner, sorry.
Since I made the motion, I gotta get to vote.
there you go. Mo-
I was getting there.
You want to take a break, Mayor?
No, my hearing's not that bad yet, but you people from down there have to start speaking up. For both ends. One has to slow down, the other one has to speak up. All right, now we're at the resolution to set the firefighter pays.
Well, I guess I feel compelled to ask a question now, only because I feel a little blindsided on something that just went on, and I'm not real happy about it, but that's okay. Chief, do these things meet your approval? I mean, and I don't mean that smartly, I'm just like, I don't know now. I got this stuff from Gifford, and I thought it was all okay, and everybody was happy, and we weren't. But, so now, are these pay things for these firemen? I mean, like, did you participate in that? Is that what you want?
2% across the board, I have no issue with,
Okay.
for the guys.
And I'm being very serious about that.
And so am I.
You know I
Next
am.
year, I think we need to discuss it, because we have pool employees making more than firefighters going in and saving lives and things at $8.50 and $9 an hour part-time, when we have guys that have more certification, more training, and things that we need to really look at it next year or the next year, bringing the pay up for the guys that, if the pool gets in trouble, who they're gonna call, us and the ambulance out of Burlington. And, they're EMTs, they're paramedics, the pool people are standard first aid. And you've got, the balance here is not right. But the 2% this year, that's what we budgeted for, I don't have an issue with, but when we go to budget times next year, even if I have to cut some equipment, I'm going to bat for the personnel, because they've got through their trainings, they're miles ahead of where they were when I came here. The equipment's miles ahead, we're still finding some issues in maintenance and things that we're addressing, but, you know,
And understand whether I agree or disagree with you, that's exactly what I want you to do.
Yeah.
I want you to bring those things up so that,
oh yeah,
So-
and I'm willing to lose
so
some
that we at
equipment.
least know one way or the
That's
other.
right,
Okay.
that's right, but when we were talking about last year's budget and everything, I was still trying to get my feet on the ground.
Okay, well, and granted,
You know, and that's why I didn't pursue so much on this year, because we were drastically needing equipment in some areas. We still are drastically needing equipment in areas. But when the budget rolls around next time, even if I have to cut some things, I'll cut them to get the personnel some more money. Absolutely.
okay.
So, who wants to make a motion?
Pardon? What'd you ask?
I need a motion for this resolution.
Oh, for the 2% for the firefighters?
Yeah.
Oh, so moved.
Support.
Motion with support. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Stewart.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, the item number 10 is to consider proposal for the annual audit. We only received one proposal, and that's from CPA Associates. They're wanting, I guess it's a 3-year contract, proposal for 3 years at $8,900 this year, $9,300 next year, and $9,800 the following year.
And how's that compared to what we were paying them?
Paid 9,500, 8,500 for it.
Last year we paid 85.
Yeah.
And any input on why the other people didn't provide any proposals?
I'm surprised, I kind of thought maybe the state auditor's office would at least try to go for it, but I don't know, because they've got some new regulations coming down, that they have to do small city examinations now, but then maybe they think it's too high on staff, so I kind of was you know, thought maybe that was it. I kind of thought maybe they would bid on it, but
They have been bidding on, when other cities around here have put some up, the state has been bidding on those in the past. I think it probably is because the legislature put that new, because on the really small cities, didn't ever have to have an audit. And now the state has been ordered by the legislature to go in and do those every so often. It's not a full audit, but their staff is gonna be busy, and that's probably why they didn't do it. They usually end up higher than your local people, but once in a while, they're not.
So what do you want us to do here?
through the proposal.
Need an audit.
For 3 years, I mean, we put it out for 3 years. We have to have an audit, it's mandatory.
Are we doing any special federal audits?
We're real close on that. To get over 500,000 federal funds, you have to do that special single audit. But it looks like, I won't know to the end of the year, after we get here, but it looks like we probably won't, but we're real close.
That's usually, what, a couple thousand?
Well, he says in his proposal, it could be up to 5,000 for that special audit, depending on the complexity of the number of them.
Don't cash those federal checks for the next
So,
couple weeks.
we'd be able to prove that in case we qualify, they come here and they find out that we did exceed the 500,000, then we would have to have that single audit addition.
Pleasure.
No, we got to do it. I'd make that motion.
Looking for the name of the people, but
Support.
Motion with support to let CPA Associates do the audit for the next 3 years.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Motion carried. Number 11 is to consider proposal to purchase Summit software.
This is
You want to
something,
just sit down up here and explain
I
this?
thought I'll pull over here at Randy's, how's that?
Okay.
This is something that we hadn't budgeted for this year, but we've been having some issues with our software, and we've heard Data Tech, also called Summit, has been in the state of Iowa for several years now, and they've really grown and expanded, and they're geared toward Iowa. And our software support maintenance has gotten so expensive. This year, it's going to be $14,190. Next year, they're projecting $15,012 just for the maintenance of the software, and it's not user-friendly. I mean, we did a demo, Katie, Kelly, Mike, Carla, and myself sat down and did a demo with the Summit software. It was several hours long, so it was quite extensive, and we were really impressed about how the programs were more user-friendly. You could generate reports better. It was easier and quicker to put information in. And the software support for the Summit is $5,460 compared to the $14,190 annual fee. And it's got, the Summit software, or data technology also called, it has in-state training. So we were proposing, after 4 years, you would have a payback of the initial cost, and then after that, you'd have a savings of estimated to be $13,224 annually.
So let's start with that. A payback in 4 years, and from then on, 13 grand a year savings.
Savings, yes.
Plus, in your opinion, and Dan's used this before and likes it, eager to
Yes.
use. Sounds like a win-win-win.
We think it's great software.
You're
One
gonna
of the
pay,
issues-
you're gonna pay for this, what, building permit, 10,000?
Yeah, one of the modules is building permits, and Mike seemed pretty impressed with the software too. I mean, you're not very happy with the software we have now, correct?
Building
Because
permits,
if
is that
I
out of
do-
the general fund?
Yes.
Yeah, if I do something, I could also screw up utility billing and everything else. If it's not a separate, right now, it's not separate from utility buildings and those kind of things. So if I do something in buildings or rentals or something like that, it's gonna go clear through the system where it needs to be separated, so I can't get into the billing part of the city. And right now, Encode won't do it. If I do one thing wrong, it affects everything. And the good thing I like about it is that I'm separate from the utility buildings and all that stuff, that if ownership or something changes, that, or the renter changes or whatever happens, I can make those corrections and go from there.
And the reports, Jenny, I passed you out some reports. I mean, you can click so much better on the reports of what to put on your report. Like, this is a claims list as compared to this that you guys get now. You know, just, it's simplified, easy to read.
How come we didn't use these people before now?
Well,
Your note says they've been around for 27 years.
yes, I know, they've really grown in the last several years. It used to be they had one person that did a lot of their software support when they were smaller, and there was concerns about what happened to this one person, you know, but they've really expanded, and they've really expanded their employees.
So are they buying business?
No, they're just getting cities. They're getting
Yeah,
cities.
are they buying it? And soon they'll be just like Tyler?
Hopefully not.
I just
They're
asking
more
for-
Iowa generated. They are more Iowa, they do the Iowa reporting. They see what the needs are for Iowa. Tyler is too big. It's national wide. They're concerned with all these
So
other states.
when we picked Tyler and that was told by you people to us that was the way to go.
Yes, that's what we thought at the time, yes. Yes.
That was that was a gradual from what we'd always been on. From when I was started 20 years ago, we had CMS.
Yeah.
Well, CMS got bought out by Encode. Tyler bought out in Encode. So it's just kind of, the companies have evolved.
Leslie, one thing I'm not sure on, we have to be covered by both companies for a year or
A
something?
short time, yeah, about a year until we get get all the way over into the data tech, if you guys choose to go to it.
Are those numbers reflected in your,
My spreadsheet?
yeah?
I don't see anything saying anything here that we have to be covered by two of them for a year.
Well, it's at the bottom, I think, then not for a year, the way I read it, several months.
Well, it would be 6 months you get duplicate coverage because,
They'd start in about 4 months, and then how long after?
yeah, after 4 months, and they would start they do each module, they do one module at a time. They do the financials, and then they go to the payroll, and then they do the utility billing, and then they do the business licensing. They do a module at a time. When our software support bill is due July 1 for Tyler, the 14,000, and we need that until we can get transferred over.
Why would we have to do that?
If we get an issue, we're down. We are down.
Essentially, we'd be running both versions of software as one was getting put together and the other one was coming off. So we'd be running some things on one and some things on another, and
So we're paying while they're training?
While we're getting converted over, yes.
So we're paying for the support from both companies?
Yes, it would be for a
Same
time,
time.
yes, for 6 months.
So, and they don't do any type of proration of their fee since you're only going to do like one module and then add another module and then add another, they don't prorate it as you go up?
Tyler said, you mean the new company or the Tyler? No.
The new company.
The new company. They start January. Theirs runs from January, a calendar year for their software. Tyler runs from July 1 to June 30th.
Okay, but what I'm thinking is that since when you first start out with the new program, you're not going to have all the modules to begin with, that they're not prorating any of that fee until you're up to the full.
They give you 3 months free at the very beginning. If we start in 4
Oh,
months.
they give you 3 months free,
Yeah,
okay.
theirs is not due till January 1. I mean, for a calendar year.
Okay.
So if they would start, if this
If
got
October, it'd be
approved,
October,
and
November,
they would
December
start
would be free.
October, you'd get October, November,
In
and
December.
then in January.
We
the-
do, and theirs is run on a calendar year, yes.
So we'd be paying 6 months? Okay.
Here's my problems. First of all, I think it's a good idea. You know, I've complained in the past about sending you and Kelly to Texas for training. That just seemed plumb silly and that, you know. So I like the idea. What I don't understand is how did this come about now instead of 2 months ago when we were doing budget work? Why weren't you people looking out? I mean, is this guy just suddenly dropped out of the sky, this Summit salesman, and said, here, try me? I mean, why are we again having to find money for something that we should have just budgeted for 2 months ago?
The
I don't
conference,
understand how that happened.
They keep getting issues with this, with Encode or whatever it's called.
and the
now.
conference that Katie and I just went to, their new thing now is version 10, and half the, I mean, a lot of the classes that Katie and I would like to have gone to, you go in there and it's version 10. Version 10 is not completely different, but it's a different format. That's what they're gonna start, they keep saying, we're gonna continue to support version 9, but all the classes that here are version 10. Well, version 10, there's a cost to version 10, so do you go with version 10 and you're not completely satisfied with what you have? Or do you start looking at some other options? Besides that, they're growing continually. The classes that we went to, they're small, they're smaller and smaller, but they have new programs designed for police departments, for tracking public transportation. I mean, those are the things, doing things on iPads, tracking transportation on things that Brad would think is incredible.
So you went to a meeting and suddenly discovered this?
No, she's talking about the Tyler meeting they went to, and
Driving them away from Tyler towards Summit. Then they started looking at Summit, is the way I'm understanding it.
I don't think that totally, that's what I found when Katie and I went to this last conference. We were able to attend all of the classes that we wanted to, with the exception of one class that I got into was version 10.
when they first brought this to me, my first answer was, let's look at it next year at budget time. Then we started looking at, when the numbers got put together, with all the savings that's coming up, that maybe we should start saving 6 months ahead of time rather than waiting 6 months and saving. And that's why I sort of changed my mind, and I'm okay with doing it now, because the sooner we get started, the sooner that savings kicks in.
I mean,
So
Because-
you understand my questions,
Yes.
because you had the same questions.
Yes, I had the same
Why are we
question.
doing this now? We just got done with the
Yes.
budget.
I've known about Data Tech for years.
but
And it's
I
always
don't-
been
So
a
if-
very small company. There was always more people on CMS and Encode than there was on Data Tech.
So
Everybody I've ever talked to was happy with Data Tech, but it was always a smaller company. There's like Leslie said, there was one person that was the support person, and it was always a concern, like, what if you need support? There's only that one person. I think in the last few years, they've really grown, and I was impressed with it.
And there is nothing to say that Tyler couldn't come and buy these and we'd be right back where, that's the way the business works. I don't know.
If Tyler was still out of Ames, and we could go to Ames and have our meetings, and you could go, I know where the office is for with CMS and Ames. I've been to their office. That's what Data Tech is now, and
And there were
we're
more
small enough that that's what we need.
and they were more responsive when they were in Ames, their needs.
So here's what, you got version 10, which is a software and that stuff in there, okay?
But we don't have that.
But
We don't have.
We don't have. But we got an IT guy back here.
It's
that
completely.
It's completely different. We can't use him,
No.
or he can't set up, or.
No.
You'd have to
It's
purchase
just-
version 10.
And another IT guy.
No, it's software.
No, you'd have to purchase the
Purchase their
software.
new
Purchase their
software.
use, and then they take care of their software and.
When they,
Like going from Vista to Windows 7.
well,
there you
whatever.
Yep.
Anyhow, then I have one other small problem, and that is you wanting to take 10,000 out of the general fund to pay for this. Totally against doing that. We just went through again a budget year where staff preached and preached how we needed more money in the general fund. Carried on till you got enough council people not to allow us to decrease taxes $5,000, but yet we just quickly get to the end of the year and the numbers are higher, as I told you they would be, and suddenly now you just want to spend 10,000 of it. I'm just against that. I'm not going to vote for that part of it. I think that's wrong. I think that lacks credibility from my staff members to so vehemently argue against a $5,000 reduction in the general fund, and then when it's something they want, to suggest we steal 10,000 out of the general fund.
Well, a lot
That
of,
I think's wrong, period.
I think long-term, it's gonna save you money. I mean,
I'm sure it will.
We can keep it
I'm
what
sure
we
it will,
have
but
now.
take the money somewhere else. Don't take it out of the general fund. Don't you remember how you all sat here and preached how much trouble the general fund was in? We can't keep spending reserves to maintain the general fund. Oh, my Lord,
But if
we're
it's
going down the tubes. The city's going to collapse.
But if it's an expense that should come out of the general fund, it should come out of the general fund.
Take it out somewhere else.
well,
Just like you say you're going to do in future years. You're going to take it out of water and sewer and
we can split it between water and sewer also. There's some money in the capital.
There's other ways we can pay for that.
There's money in the capital equipment and administration. We could take it out of part of that.
I think it's a great idea and we ought to do it. I just don't like you taking the excess out of the general fund that I told you was gonna be there, and now to prove that it's not there in the future, you're gonna spend it so you can say, see, there's not extra money in general fund.
Building permits are a hard thing to project from year to year. Some years are high, some years are low.
And we knew they were going to be a lot higher this year. We knew it.
Would this be coming out of this year's general fund or next year's?
The 10,000, we could take it out of the the capital equipment for administration. They were wanting 10,000 for this year for a down payment to get started on the contract signed. We could take it out next year. I could probably persuade them to take it out next year. It's so close.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a great idea. We need to do it. I didn't like sending you girls all the way to Texas for training. This makes a lot more sense. I just don't think we're correctly paying for it.
And also, they have the same training twice, so we can get all 4 people
Great.
to the same,
it-
to the training. It,
Makes perfectly good sense to do this.
Or we could split it between water, sewer, and the capital equipment administration this year, this payment.
I would just like to, it'd be more palatable to me if you could switch how you're paying for this.
we certainly can do that.
Mayor, you looking for a motion on this?
Whenever you guys are ready.
I would make a motion that we purchase the Summit software and pay for it, how she just mentioned down there.
Support.
Motion with support. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Stewart. Aye. Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 12 is to consider appointing Judy McNeese as our library liaison. Dan is.
Motion to approve?
I think there's something illegal about that. Support.
Support, yeah.
Motion with support.
Aye.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Stewart.
Motion carried. I want to thank you personally for doing this for the last 4 years, 5 years.
Oh, since we
Yeah, since
started,
we've had a library liaison.
yep, one long meeting every month. Judy will love it.
Judy will love it.
A lot of fun.
All right, item number 13 is to consider promoting Officer Richard Hand to lieutenant. Where's he at? There he is.
We need a,
So move.
yeah, support.
Motion with support. Any discussion?
Only if these two gentlemen want to say something.
Well, we're not gonna let Frank tell.
Oh, yeah.
I can say something on even Frank's behalf, and that stuff in there is that I know it was a hard decision on both of them because we got very good police officers that's in there, and I'm glad for you and I appreciate for what Frank was going through.
Hey, Rick, well said.
Thank you.
Which is about the same thing I was going to say. We have so much qualified members. And that was something that it took me, and I lost it obviously, but they're very close. All of them are very good. Just Officer Hand had more things of my weaknesses that I felt that I had, and then I also used some other people to help me make the decision. But it would have been easier to go outside and find somebody because then I wouldn't have to worry about it. It's disappointing people that I've known for so long since they started the job.
Anything, Alex?
No, I agree with Frank. We've got a great staff, and I was going to talk about them a little bit in a little bit, but I just, I know it was a hard decision for Frank to make, but he had the support of everybody, I think, that reviewed the resumes and that. Rich, I think, will do a great job. He's had a lot of experience in city government and volunteerism. He's been a chief of police. He's worked with budgets. And I think Frank would welcome somebody to work on his budget for him next year. So I do think they I've always said Frank and I have offset each other. We have kind of different temperaments, and we balance each other, and I think with Rich, I think Rich would balance Frank out, and I think that's something you need as a chief and assistant chief. That balance makes things work a whole lot better, and I think you'll find that with Rich.
Really? There's a difference between you and Frank?
And just to add to it, I had the opportunity to look at the 4 resumes, and I think they're all great resumes, great individuals. And, you know, I told Frank it's his decision, and, you know, it really wasn't my decision to make or anybody. He's the one that's got to work with the persons.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
some days you make some mad, some days you make everybody happy. Roll call.
West,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Raleigh,
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Lees.
Wholeheartedly, aye. Thank you.
Motion carried.
Congratulations.
Don't rip his badge off yet. Item number 14 is to consider the purchase of gun mounts and locks for the police units. Amount of $1,288 plus shipping.
Motion to approve.
Support.
With support, any discussion? Roll call.
Crowner,
Aye.
Raleigh,
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Motion carried. We have any old business? Anyone wishing to address the council matters we did discuss or didn't discuss tonight?
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, Gary. I'll wait.
Alex needs to end it.
Gary Dean, 406 West Road. I've got some questions in regards to the earlier discussion in regards to the pay raise for the chief, fire chief. I think that was 8%, am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, then,
I think so too, Gary.
okay, well, that's what I've gathered from all the discussion. And then another motion was made that you're going to increase the firefighters' pay as well.
2% increase.
2%. Okay, and yet we have, then when my question comes, are they still a volunteer fire department, or are they a paid part-time department?
Good question. They're considered employees
Okay, and that's what I want to know.
And they have been since what year?
forever.
Paid on call. We still call them volunteer, but that's neither here nor there. Then we have our police.
Gary, can I clarify that a little bit? Part of their salary is volunteering, because they're making less than the people at the swimming pool, is the way I look at it.
That's no comparison whatsoever. Yeah. And that's.
Okay,
totally
matter of
wrong.
opinion. Go on, I'm hungry.
really upset about that comment. My next question.
Okay, let's talk about it.
We will.
We call them
Every
the-
time I decide to talk to you about something, you walk away from it. So now, that's later. My other question goes to, is the chief going to be a full-time citizen in our community?
Gary, I'm not gonna sit here and let you
I'm
get away with
asking
that.
a
I've never walked
question,
away from
man.
you.
Is the fire chief going to be a full-time citizen in our community?
Well, I think he is.
He's a registered city and a person in the state of Iowa.
Yeah, it's got
I'm
it
an
right.
Iowa ID, I'm a registered voter,
A
yes,
registered voter. So why is your vehicle registered? in-
because it's not my home base. I've done this, I've already gone through the attorneys. It doesn't have to be because my home base is in Kansas City. My wife's there, my family's there, my income tax is filed through Kansas and Iowa and the federal. I'm on contract up here to work here. So I don't have to have Kansas tax. I have to have an Iowa ID, and I can be a registered voter here. My kids don't go to school here. I have, other than that, and I work 60 hours a week, so if I'm not dedicated to this place, you better come see me, because you and I will go round and round big time.
Is that good for you, Mr.
No, I'm just telling you, if you
I'm
want to
just
know about.
asking- I'm just asking some questions, and you don't need to be indignant.
I'm not,
But
but
questions have been raised, and there's several people in the community that have that same question, and I'm the only one that's willing to come up and ask those questions. This has been a discussion within the community, either behind closed doors or whatever, that they're afraid to approach the council. And so therefore, that's why I'm asking these questions. And to you as the council member, they give this person an 8% raise. And then we have the reserve officers for the police department, they get $1 a year. To me, they're just as much putting their life on the line as your firemen are. To me, there's something wrong with this picture, and that's really all I have to say.
Let me address that with the reserves. I think that's state code. That's state code. I mean, I gladly pay him more, but I mean,
And that's
that's,
why I wanted to ask the question about the volunteer fire department, whether it's volunteer or part-time paid, part-time paid employee on-call type staff.
They're-
I understand.
they're considered employees of the city because we've got to provide workman's comp and all this
Drivers and all
stuff.
that.
So it's, you know, they call themselves volunteers, but I consider them paid volunteers.
Exactly, and that's what has some of the people in the community. How can you be a volunteer when you are getting paid? That isn't what volunteerism is.
That's, and you're correct, the definition of a volunteer is
No pay.
no pay. So, you know, maybe we need to change that part of that.
And that's the question that's been on a lot of people's mind in the community, and that's why I'm asking the questions that I currently have.
But, you know, the other thing is, and, you know, it's out in the open, you know, Mike, his residence, his primary residence is still in Kansas, but yet he's, right, he's contractual, he works for us. He lives up here, he goes home once a month or so, whatever. Once a month. And, you know, comes back, but when he's gone, there's still somebody here to cover that. And he just, I don't expect somebody to be working 24 hours a day.
Well, and I understand that, but the thing is that there are some citizens in this community that has those questions, and they don't want to come up here to council, just for the simple fact, is the way that I was approached by asking this question.
Well, I admire you for doing it, but
And
I think the ones that don't come up and do have those questions, to me, they're,
So
I said
now
chicken shit once before.
Now that it's out in the open, maybe with the Hawkeye and the radio station, they'll understand.
What was
they'll
being
understand
hidden?
the picture.
Gary, what was being hidden? What did you uncover tonight that is being
I didn't
hidden?
uncover anything. What?
You're acting like you did. Now that it's out in the open, you're getting quoted
But
on
the
the
thing is, the citizens, they sit there and they get told the volunteer.
anonymous blog subscribers. Is that who you're talking about?
No. Do I talk to people in this community? Sure I do. There's people that have legitimate questions. But when I bring it up here to the council, not only do I get a hostile attitude from you, I get one from the fire chief.
You
All I'm
started,
doing,
Gary.
no, I'm doing. Dan,
You're sitting here telling lies.
Dan, you're bringing a situation between you and I that does have nothing to do with this. You're making some comments that has nothing to do. I had simple questions I wanted to ask, and I asked them. That upsets you, it upset the chief. All I wanted to know from you, what the status was of the firefighters, if they were paid or volunteers. and
Okay, we've been through all that. Gary, you started the conversation by saying, I'm ignoring you. I have returned your phone call every time you've called me, every time you've talked to me face to face. More so than any other city, any other citizen in the city. Now, what are you saying? I walk away from you, I'm ignoring you. What are you talking about?
Well, I think there was a meeting one time you and I had at one place, and you took off from me. You wouldn't want to finish the conversation, and it had to do with the purchase of the fire truck. I had my views. I didn't get those expressed to you. So I felt like I was being, you had more important things to do than talk to the citizens. So therefore.
We had a meeting scheduled, or we just passed each other in
We were
conversation?
talking.
Is it possible that I had a job or something to do with my family, or is it possible? If you called me up and said, I want to sit down and have iced tea and talk about this, I beg people to do that. But if you're passing me on the street and you want to have a conversation with me,
This
I'm not going to do
conversation that
something.
we're having right now, that's what turns off the citizens of this community and why they don't come up here, man. That, you know, that's why they don't ask those questions, is because they're afraid of what what they're gonna get treated like when they ask, or they have a problem, that they don't get the respect that they deserve as citizens in the community.
Okay. You come up here and say things about me, but I can't.
I didn't
Honestly.
say anything. All I'm saying is that when you mentioned about the swimming pool lifeguards, that had nothing to do with what I wanted to talk about. And you brought it up.
You put it in writing right here that Gifford's calling you a nuisance.
No, I didn't say I said I was treated like a constant nuisance. And just like when I come up to talk to Dan, and you want to go back to that topic, which we've already discussed, just like when I come up and talk to Dan, that conversation, I said, here I am again. It's kind of like,
Has he ever refused to talk to you?
I'm constantly complaining. No, he hasn't.
But you're willing to put it in writing
Yes, I am.
that you're a constant nuisance.
Sometimes I feel like it because.
Well, feelings are, put on your big boy pants, Gary.
Can you be quiet long enough so I can talk, Dan? When I come up here, I've talked about that problem that you're talking about for over 6 years about that alley. And each time I come up here, I get yeah, and nothing happens. Or I get chastised by someone in the city because I brought this issue up. That wasn't part of the discussion that's supposed to be made out here. I put that in there so you would know that, yes, I am constantly up here talking about it. And if you get lip service from people and get ignored, then what are you supposed to perceive?
Did you get some satisfaction tonight so that we get the
I'm
alley?
hoping that the
Steve,
surveyor will come down and take a look at it. That's all I ask, is someone to come and take a look at it. Randy took a look at it. Dan told me once, now there's a problem, but there's a continuing problem. That's why I ended up talking to Teresa. That's why I talked to Dan again. And the thing is, nothing happens. A Band-Aid was put on the problem, but yet another problem pops up. There's something more going on. So that's all.
If you got problems with streets or alleys or something like that, I'm supposed to be at the streets, give me a call, and then I'll come up and contact and go through this chain of command graph, and then we'll go ahead and do it.
That's all I ask.
All right, is there anything else, really?
No, that's all. I just wanted to address those issues that people have.
Thanks, Gary. Anyone else?
Just one thing, or a couple things.
Your turn, Alex.
Yeah. You challenged me today. You said the last one you listened to was half an hour. I think I can beat that, so. No, this is my last council meeting. Linda and I will be probably leaving about the 20th and heading to Oklahoma there. I started here 9 years ago, and I just want to pass along my thanks to all the people in the community who've been supportive to Linda and I and the police department. I want to thank the council, past and present councils. We've never had an issue with the police department. When we've needed something, the council has been there for us. They've been supportive. I've worked places where councils have been a little bit, had their own idea about law enforcement and thought they could run police departments, and this council has let us run the department, given us suggestions in that, and I think we've been responsive to that. I want to thank the rest of the city staff. You guys have a fantastic staff here, all the way around. They work hard for the city. They do a fantastic job. They all care about the city. There's nobody here that's out for themselves. They're all looking after the people in this community, and I want to thank them. And I want to thank my staff at the police department. I'll start with Frank, who's, like I say, he's kept me alive here. He's really, he's my expert on Iowa, and coming from out of town, he's really been a lifesaver. And like I say, I said earlier, we offset each other. We have a little slightly different personalities, and we've been a good balance for each other. And the rest of the staff, they've done a fantastic job for us. I think they have the right attitude about the community. They're all community-minded. They're not overbearing when they deal with the public. My philosophy is you be fair to everybody. Good guy, bad guy, whoever, you treat them right, treat them with respect. And you'd be surprised how many times somebody gets, we had an incident the other day, we searched the back of a car, thought somebody might have put some dope in the back of the car. We didn't find any, but the guy told our guys, if I was in Chicago, there would have been dope in the back of that car. So, and I think the other even asked him, are you serious? And he said, oh yeah. So it just says that we have an excellent quality of officers. And speaking of the community, when we arrived here, Linda and I first got here, we would go different places, and it was kind of amazing because they would say, somehow they'd know we were from out of town, and they would say, oh, well, welcome to Burlington. Almost to a person, they said that, and Linda and I kind of go, it's like a chamber of commerce setup for us in that. It was really amazing when we got here, and they've made us part of the community, and this has been our home. It's also, I've lived in this house, I'm living in longer than I've lived any place in my life, so this really has been kind of a home for us. And as we've told people we're leaving, Linda's been in tears about the last 5 weeks. I'm tired of saying goodbye to people. Everybody's been so nice and kind about it. So I just wanted to pass along my thanks to everybody, like I say, in this whole community. We appreciate everything everybody's done for us, and we hope we've done a good job for you. And I really think the department's in good hands, the city's in good hands, and with this council, they're in good hands. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you for 9 wonderful years. said something before, I said, the next job's half as good as this job. It's really going to be a great job. So I'm not saying I'm looking forward to leaving, but this has been great, and I want to thank you all for that. And that's what I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we wish you the best.
8 minutes and 20 seconds.
Not quite that long.
Stop watching.
All righty. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. We got a Pink Heels.